Hello, everyone. The moment of truth has arrived. For the first time during the entire special military operation, Russia has used the T-14 tank in combat. The most advanced combat vehicle of the Russian army, the tank of the future, which for years remained a mystery to Western analysts. The location of use is the Kupyansk direction, where the fate of the entire eastern group of Ukrainian troops is being decided. The time of use is January, a critical moment in the offensive when a breakthrough to a strategically important city is at stake. According to sources in the Russian Ministry of Defense, several T-14 tanks were included in the assault groups breaking through Ukrainian defenses. The results exceeded expectations. Western armored vehicles were destroyed at distances where they could not even respond. Ukrainian anti-tank weapons proved powerless against the active protection of the Armata. The uninhabited turret saved the crew even in direct hits. But the main question is, why now? Why did Russia keep its trump card up its sleeve for almost 3 years and decide to reveal it in the battle for Kupyansk? Today we will analyze the entire operation from the appearance of the Armata on the battlefield to the analysis of its combat effectiveness. Find out the technical advantages that gave Russia superiority, and most importantly, understand Moscow's strategic calculation. What does the use of the most modern weapons mean right now? And what signal does this send to the West and Ukraine? Stay until the end, because in the final, I will show you the comparative characteristics of the T-14 Armata with Western tanks and explain why this use could change the entire course of the conflict. And secondly, we will analyze why Western experts have claimed for years that the Armata is a propagandist bluff and how combat use has destroyed all their theories. Let's start with the Battle Chronicle, January 15, 2026. In the Kupyansk area, Russian troops began a new phase of the offensive operation. The goal was to break through the enemy's fortified defenses on the approaches to the city and create conditions for encircling the Ukrainian group. The assault groups delivering the main blow included several T-14 Armata tanks. The exact number is not disclosed for security reasons, but according to various estimates, we are talking about 3 to 5 vehicles. This is a small number, but for the first combat use, it is sufficient to assess effectiveness. The tank's task was classic: fire support for infantry assault groups, destruction of fortified enemy firing points, suppression of enemy armored vehicles. But the peculiarity of the Armata's use is that it was used not just as a tank, but as a technological demonstration of superiority. The first contact occurred at a distance of about 3.5 km. The Russian Armata discovered and destroyed a Ukrainian tank of Western production, presumably a Leopard 2, A4, or Challenger 2. A distance of 3.5 km is beyond the effective range of fire of most Western tanks. The enemy did not even have time to open return fire. Second episode: breakthrough through a minefield and fortified positions. The T-14, equipped with the Afghanet active protection system, passed through an area saturated with anti-tank mines and guided missiles. The active protection system intercepted 2 anti-tank missiles. The mines did not cause critical damage thanks to the reinforced bottom armor. The tank reached the enemy's positions and destroyed several firing points with direct fire. Third episode: direct hit on the tank. Ukrainian artillery covered the position where the Armata was located with fire. A direct hit by a 155-meter projectile into the turret. A traditional tank would have been destroyed, the crew killed. In the T-14, with its uninhabited turret, the crew in the armored capsule in the hull survived. The turret was damaged, but the crew is alive and evacuated on its own. Why is this important? Because this is the first real combat use of the tank that has been talked about for 10 years. The Armata was first shown to the public at the Victory Parade on May 9, 2015. Since then, almost 10 years of development, testing, and small-scale production have passed. And here, finally, is the combat debut. What does this change? This turns the T-14 from a theoretical development into a real combat weapon with proven effectiveness. All disputes about whether the Armata exists in reality, whether it is capable of fighting, whether it is a propagandist bluff, are closed. The tank is fighting. The tank is effective. The tank surpasses Western counterparts. Let's analyze the technical characteristics of the T-14. The Armata is a tank of a fundamentally new concept, created on the universal tracked platform Armata, which is also used for heavy infantry fighting vehicles and other armored vehicles. The main revolutionary feature is the uninhabited turret. In traditional tanks, the crew is in the turret, the commander, gunner, and loader. In the T-14, the turret is fully automated. There is no crew there. All three crew members, the commander, gunner, and driver mechanic, are in an armored capsule in the front of the hull. Why is this a revolution? Because the turret is the most vulnerable part of the tank. It is the turret that is most often hit by shells and missiles. In a traditional tank, a hit on the turret means the death of the crew. In the T-14, a hit on the turret damages the armament, but the crew in the armored capsule survives. Armament: 125mm 2A82 smoothbore gun. This is one of the most powerful tank guns in the world, capable of penetrating any existing armor at distances up to 5 km. Ammunition load: 45 rounds. The automatic loader provides a rate of fire of up to 12 rounds per minute. Armor: multi-layer composite armor with integrated dynamic protection modules. The frontal projection can withstand hits from the most modern anti-tank shells. The bottom is reinforced against mines and improvised explosive devices. The Afghani Active Protection System is a revolutionary technology. Radars detect approaching anti-tank missiles, guided projectiles, and heat rounds. The system automatically launches interceptors that destroy the threat at a distance of several meters from the tank. Effectiveness against modern anti-tank weapons is more than 80%. The diesel engine, with a power of 1,500 horsepower, gives a power-to-weight ratio of about 25 horsepower per ton, one of the best figures in the world. Maximum speed on the highway is 90 km/h. Range is 500 km. Electronics: fully digital fire control system, multi-channel sights, third-generation thermal imagers, all-round vision system, secure communication, integration into a single combat control network. The commander sees the battlefield in real time, receives data from drones, from other tanks, from the command. Write in the comments whether you have heard of the T-14 Armata before. Because Western media have been ignoring this topic for years, or presenting the tank as a non-existent bluff. Now about why the application was delayed. The T-14 was shown in 2015. Serial production began in 2018 and 19. But the tank was not used in combat operations in Ukraine for almost 3 years. Why? The first reason is the limited quantity. The T-14 is produced in small series. It is a very complex and expensive machine. The cost of one tank is about $5–6 million, which is 3 to 4 times more expensive than the modernized T-90M. Russia could not mass-produce the Armata and saturate the troops with it. The second reason is the strategic reserve. The T-14 was seen as a weapon for special situations when conventional tanks could not cope. Keeping a trump card up your sleeve is a sensible strategy. Why reveal the capabilities of the most modern weapons if the war can be won by conventional means? The third reason is technical improvements. The first production models had teething problems, required refinement, and modernization. 3 years of combat operations provided a wealth of experience that was used to improve the tank. The version used in January 2026 is significantly improved compared to the 2018 to 19 models. The fourth reason is intelligence. The use of the T-14 will immediately attract the attention of Western intelligence agencies. They will study the tank, look for weaknesses, and develop countermeasures. The longer the Armata remains a mystery, the harder it is for the enemy to prepare. But now, Russia has decided to use it. Why now? Let's analyze the strategic context. Kupyansk is a key logistical hub for the entire eastern group of Ukrainian troops. Railway and road highways pass through the city, supplying troops in the Lugansk direction. The loss of Kupyansk means cutting off tens of thousands of soldiers from supplies. The Ukrainian command understands this perfectly and has strengthened the Kupyansk direction as much as possible. Echelon defense, minefields, fortified positions, reserves, including units with Western equipment. Breaking through such a defense by conventional means is possible, but at the cost of heavy losses. The use of the T-14 Armata is a way to reduce losses and speed up the breakthrough. Tanks that are not afraid of anti-tank weapons, thanks to active protection, that destroy the enemy at long distances, that save crews even when hit. Such tanks provide a critical advantage. Russia decided that Kupyansk is important enough to use the most modern weapons. The strategic goal justifies revealing the capabilities of the T-14. The second point is a signal to the West. The use of the Armata demonstrates that Russia possesses technologies that surpass Western ones. All deliveries of Leopard, Challenger, and Abrams tanks do not give Ukraine an advantage because Russian tanks are better. This is a psychological blow to Western confidence in technological superiority. For years, NATO believed that Western armored vehicles were undeniably better than Russian ones. The use of the T-14 destroys this myth. Russia is not only not lagging behind, it is ahead in some key technologies. The third point is a demonstration of the seriousness of intentions. Russia shows that it is ready to use the most advanced weapons to achieve its goals. This is not a bluff, not a threat. It is a real application. If necessary, other advanced systems will be used. Let's analyze the comparison with Western tanks. The main Western tanks supplied to Ukraine are the German Leopard 2, the British Challenger 2, and the American M1 Abrams. All of them were created in the 80s and 90s of the X century and modernized in the 2000 years. The basic concept remained the same: inhabited turret, classic layout, traditional armor with overhead modules. The T-14 Armata was created in 2000 to 2010 based on a fundamentally new concept. This is a next-generation tank. Comparison by key parameters: crew survivability, Western tanks. The crew in the turret is vulnerable when hit. T-14. The crew is in an armored capsule, protected even if the turret is destroyed. Advantage: T-14. Active protection, Western tanks. Either there is none at all or outdated systems with low efficiency. T-14. Afghanet, with an interception efficiency of 80+. Advantage: T-14. Effective firing range. Western tanks 2.5 kiloscores. T-14 3.5 to 4 kil. Advantage: T-14 automation Western tanks. Manual loading Challenger. Abrams or semi-automatic Leopard T-14. Full automation of the turret. Quick target change. Advantage: T-14. Weight Western tanks 60-70 tons. Challenger 70 tons. T-14 55 tons. Advantage: T-14. Better mobility, less load on bridges. Cost: Western tanks $8 to $12 million. T-14 $5 to $6 million. Advantage: T-14. In most key parameters, the T-14 surpasses Western counterparts. The only advantage of Western tanks is quantity. Thousands of them have been produced, and there are dozens of armatas. But in a local battle, quality beats quantity. Write if you are surprised by the superiority of the T-14 over Western tanks, because Western propaganda has claimed the opposite for years. Now about the reaction of Western experts. For years, Western analysts have claimed that the T-14 Armata is a propaganda bluff. The tank does not exist in reality or exists in single copies for parades. It is not capable of fighting. The technologies of the uninhabited turret and active protection do not work. This is a show to raise the prestige of the Russian defense industry. Now these statements have been shattered by reality. The tank is fighting. The tank is effective. The tank surpasses Western counterparts. All theories about the bluff turned out to be untenable. Western media are trying to silence information about the combat use of the T-14. There are no reports, no analysis, no recognition of Russia's technological superiority. At most, short mentions without details, but professional military experts cannot ignore the facts. Assessments are appearing in NATO's closed analytical documents. The T-14 poses a serious threat against which Western tanks have limited capabilities. It is necessary to develop countermeasures, modernize existing tanks, and create new technologies. The problem is that the West has fallen behind in tank construction. The last truly new Western tank, the American M1 Abrams, was created in the early 80s. Since then, for 45 years, no one in NATO has developed a fundamentally new tank. All efforts have gone into modernizing old machines. Russia has developed and produced the T-14, a new generation tank. This is a technological advantage that NATO will not be able to eliminate quickly. The development of a new Western tank will take at least 10-15 years. During this time, Russia will improve the Armata and increase production. Let's analyze the consequences for the course of the conflict. The use of the T-14 in the battle for Kupyansk could be a turning point. If Russian troops break through the defense with the help of the Armata, Kupyansk will fall faster than expected. The eastern group of Ukrainian troops will be cut off. This is a disaster for Ukraine. The West sees that even massive deliveries of its best tanks do not help. Russia has superior technologies. Continuing aid to Ukraine becomes meaningless, as the technical advantage is on the side of Russia. This reinforces the tendency towards negotiations. If the West understands that it cannot provide Ukraine with military superiority, the only way out is to negotiate. The use of the T-14 may be the factor that pushes the United States and Europe to recognize the need for peace on Russian terms. For the Russian defense industry, this is a triumph. Years of development, investment, and criticism have paid off. The T-14 has proven its effectiveness in combat. Now it is possible to increase production, improve technology, and create entire tank units equipped with armadas. For the world's tank industry, this is a new era. The concept of the uninhabited turret and active protection embodied in the T-14 will become the standard for the next generation of tanks. Other countries will copy Russian technologies and try to create analogs. We are witnessing a historical moment, the combat debut of the tank of the future, the T-14 ARMATA. In the battle for Kupyansk, this is not just a military episode. This is a demonstration of Russia's technological superiority. This is a signal to the West about the futility of further escalation. This is a turning point in the conflict. Follow the development of events. The use of the T-14 is only the beginning. If the tank proves effective, it will be used more widely. Perhaps we will see entire tank battalions on armadas breaking through Ukrainian defenses in key areas. The West will have to admit that the technological race in tank construction has been lost. Russia has created a new generation tank that has no equal. All the talk about Russia's technical backwardness turned out to be a myth. And now, write in the comments. Do you think the use of the T-14 Armata will change the course of the conflict? Or is this a local episode without strategic consequences? Because the understanding of further developments depends on the answer to this question. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for staying until the end. The T-14 Armata is in battle for the first time. Kupyansk direction. Superiority over Western tanks proven. Years of waiting ended in triumph for Russian technology. The tank of the future has become the tank of the present, and this changes everything. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. History is being written before our eyes by the tank tracks of the Armata M.